Hey Pokemon fans, for the past 6 weeks, I've been wheeling and dealing, going to Pokemon card shows, browsing online, local marketplaces, even made a one-for-one trade in here, and have amassed a few $100 stack of Pokemon cards that I want to show off to you guys. Some great deals in here that I think are really going to interest you. Let's get into it. Okay, we're going to start off with half the stack right off the bat, and this is a tip that I give to tons of collectors, especially here in Canada, because getting these cards online is really annoying. So there's like 20-ish cards here that I got for $1 to $3 each. And when you buy these online, typically, like from eBay, for example, since TCG Player is not good here, it's going to be, $3 to $5 minimum for each card because there's shipping and minimum prices. Let's kind of just go through this. We can fire through this part pretty quickly because I have a lot more interesting cards to look at. But there's some great cards in here. People always sleeping on the V and V-Star cards. So like this Shaman, solid fan, and it was $1. So anytime I see Sword and Shield, V or V-Star cards, I'm almost always grabbing them. Right on that note, there's the Lilligant here for $1 again. And, it perfectly matches the Shaman here. Great pickup. Then we have some Sword and Shield ultra rares and things like that. Stuff that is kind of tough to pull. Think of, 1 in 12 pull rate for something like this, and you can get it for $1. People really did not like Xerneas Together. I personally am a fan of Xerneas Together, so getting this Mamoswine, even though, the ultra rares from Scarlet and Violet aren't the best, for $1, I'm more than happy to grab this because I'm a full set collector and trying to master set all the stuff in there. And again, this would cost me $5 or so to buy it online. Love getting cards like this for $1. And there's a bunch like this. Here's another Xerneas Together Salamence, which I think is a cooler Pokemon than the Mamoswine. Kind of nice with the pink. Not a bad ultra rare. Other people seem to think the same. It's a $3 card. I'll throw up the actual prices along as I'm going through this. But again, the $1 to $3 range for these cards is a good deal. And I'm paying cash. So all of these prices, I'm taking probably like 20% off of these by the end. We can double check the total price I paid after. Got these like 6-ish weeks ago at the beginning, so it's hard for me to perfectly remember. But this one's a great one. This is a Mega Evolution ultra rare. And it actually looks genuinely good. Manectric, I think, is a solid Pokemon. I'm always a fan of the dog style Pokemon, Manectric being one of them. And the switch in the Mega Evolution era to have like more going on in the ultra rares is awesome. This is genuinely a good looking card. So I'm super happy to pick this one up for just $3. Same vein, we have a slightly less cool Pokemon with the Camerupt, but I have a small soft spot for Camerupt. I played a Camerupt deck back when he first came out, way back in the day, since I'm so old. And, I don't mind getting Camerupts for $2. I got this cool, again, Mega Evolution Ultra Rare Camerupt. And unlike the Scarlet and Violet ones, it just has a lot more going on with the, silhouette effect and just more stuff going on. So, cool card for sure. Exact same story, Mega Evolution, Mega Abomasnow for $3. The colors on this one I really like, so it caught my eye. Don't have it, $3, I'm gonna get it. Mega Heracross, so this is Phantasmal Flames one. Very similar style to the Mega Evolution since this set that came right after. I do like Heracross. I'm a big, first 3 gens kind of guy, so he fits in there. Cool one. It's almost like him being the fighting type with it's a very intense fighting style card. Pretty cool. And it's not just all ultra rares in here. We even got some illustration rares, which in general I like quite a bit more than ultra rares. And this Yamper here, I'm actually surprised it was as cheap as it was because people typically love cute cheeky cards like this. Again, another dog Pokemon chilling on the bed for $3 to pick up this Yamper. Felt like a solid deal. Anytime I see an illustration rare for $3, I'm pretty much always going to grab it. Assuming I don't have it. So I was pretty excited to grab that one. I think it looks great. These are in no particular order. I did not sort them. I kind of just, the vendor had a big stack of these. I visit him a lot because he always has good deals, a nice guy. I end up picking up lots of cards like that from him. I didn't even check this, but here's a $4 card. I guess I broke my rule. But the Sharpedo, very cool. And Sharpedo is one of the core Pokemon from Phantasmal Flames, so I'm not surprised this one was more expensive. Looks great. Sharpedo is a cool Pokemon. Another ultra rare from Phantasmal Flames that looks good. Back to the slightly uglier ultra rares with this Miss Magius. It's not a Pokemon that I'm a fan of, and it's not as intense, I guess because it's not a Mega. So they are only doing that for the Mega ultra rares. Still solid though. Let's see that the case has some damage on it, but the card itself was fine. I pulled it out to check earlier. Totally worth $2 for ultra rare. Another illustration rare and another kind of cutesy style one with the Togedemaru. So again, I think this is a cool little card. $3 Phantasmal Flames illustration rare. I was not able to get like too much Phantasmal Flames product, and like I never got a booster box. I got an ETB and then the Charizard collection. So I opened some packs, but not as much as I had for all the other Mega Evolution generation ones. I basically got a booster box every one except for Ascended Heroes, which doesn't have a booster box. So I'm feeling pretty good about most of the sets, but need much more of a kickstart to get Phantasmal Flames going. So picking up cheap IRs like this is great, and the Togedemaru is a cool card. I like it. We have another illustration rare, and I'm actually surprised this card is as cheap as it is. Usually when you get a funky, colorful card like this, you end up seeing the price go up a bit more. No, this is 6 weeks ago, so I'll throw up the price here like I said. It might be more now, or it could be less. Like, these IRs are often cheap. I actually like this card quite a bit. Ludicolo is a cheeky Pokemon. All the crazy colors on this, I think, look awesome. Another Phantasmal Flames card. It's funny, Phantasmal Flames, I think, is a great set. But it has those, like, two crazy expensive Charizards. The really excellent Charizard, not the gold one, is, you know, like $1,200 Canadian now, which is ridiculous. But what that actually means, typically, is that people are buying a lot of the product, opening it, trying to get that Charizard. So there's a lot of the cheaper cards available that they don't want. Now, I think that's weird, personally, as a true collector, whatever that means. It feels like people are just chasing money, but I can benefit it from picking up most of the other cards for cheap, which I think is cool. We got some trainer cards in here as well. These are even more annoying than buying Pokemon cards online often. I accidentally grabbed 2 of these because I grabbed so many cards, didn't even notice, but, you know, a Grizzly's move. Another Phantasmal Flame Ultra Rare. $2, totally fine. There's Fire Breather, another trainer for Phantasmal Flames. This one's actually cooler than Grizzly's and is $1 cheaper. So I'm happy with that. Similar vibe, you get the Blowtorch. Pretty boring, but for $1, for something that's 1 in 12 packs, I'm gonna grab it. And there was a couple Ascended Heroes cards in here. I've not opened any Ascended Heroes packs. So typically I avoid buying cards before at least I open a few packs, but with things like Prismatic and Ascended, because they're specialty sets, it's so hard to get product, it's so expensive, things are crazy around them. I figured I'd just buy little cheap cards like this anyways, and this card is not special at all, but for $1 I'm gonna grab it. And I also ended up getting a even more recent set with Perfect Order with the Promo Pass here. Another IR, $2. And then the final card is Perfect Order again with this Vaporeon. 2 cards that I did not pull in all the Perfect Order that I've opened. So for $4 more, that's half the price of a pack. I'm getting 2 IRs. This whole stack here. Let's see, let's add up quickly. I'll fast forward through this, but I'll add up quickly what these all cost, and then I'll roughly tell you what I paid for them. Okay, I believe there was $41 here, and then 1 card off screen, which was the double Grimsley's move for another $2, $43. And I either gave him $30 or $35 cash because I was buying so many cards. And the cards are all roughly worth what the prices are on here. You can cut good deals for things like that. It felt great to do this for, you know, $35. So super happy about grabbing a big haul like this. It was nothing more satisfying than just firing in like 20 fairly rare cards into your binders. Very satisfying. Okay, now we're on to some more stuff that personally interests me. Maybe will interest you a little less, but I've been collecting the Team Rocket Vintage set for the past several months, and it's been tough. And part of that toughness, I was like, the beginning of this little run here, I think I was down to like 5 or 6 cards that I needed. 2 of them were trainer cards. And I bought this one from eBay. And buying trainer cards like this on eBay usually sucks. They were all like $5 to $10. You can even see that they had marked this as $5 for some reason. there was some kind of deal that this person was running, and it ended up costing me less than $3, which is pretty rare for something on eBay. And the reason that was nice is because this card is really not worth much. It's like a $2 card. It's just nobody brings these things to card shows, or, you know, all the stores around me are just not selling these cheap cards anymore. It's just not worth their time. So it's very tough to get cards like this as just a general collector. This is like an LP card, I'd say. There's a little nick down here at the bottom. Some like rounding on corners, not great centering, but I really don't care. This is supposed to be just a cheap, it's an uncommon trainer card. Nightly garbage run, nothing like unique or interesting going on here, really. I mean, I think it's kind of cool, but it's not like a card that a lot of collectors want. So it's been difficult to find. When I got lucky for it, I'll put up the price I actually paid from eBay on here. But when I saw it go up, because I have alerts on eBay, I bought it within like 2 minutes of it going up, I believe. So I was super happy to snag this one. I realized I didn't even mention it after talking about that nightly garbage fund. All the like big stack of modern cards here, they're all near mint or better. Just as you'd expect for freshly pulled cards. And I'm not grading anything. I don't think anyone should. So it's not even crossing my mind with any of this stuff. Okay, back to the actual haul of cards. Just showed you the nightly garbage run. Right off the back of that, still scouring eBay, I was able to pick up this Dark Hypno here. This one was kind of a funny one, not just because we put it in upside down in the top loader, but because it's a first edition. So this is another card that sometimes people bring these kinds of cards to card shows. I've been keeping my eye out for quite a while. Lots of hollow Dark Hypnos, which I had got in the previous video, I believe, or at least a month or so before. And the hollow is quite a cool card, so definitely would recommend it. But, you know, in these old vintage sets, they had the hollow and non-hollow version, which, by the way, is like the biggest knock against these vintage sets for sure. It's kind of annoying that they did that. The Japanese versions, I believe, did not do that. It was kind of scummy by Wizards of the Coast. Anyways, the non-hollow version of this, or the unlimited version of this card, the not first edition one, is worth like $13-ish. So I don't care about first edition for the most part. If I have one, great, but I'm not searching it out. I'm not master setting the unlimited and first editions of all these sets. That would be crazy, especially when you go back to base set first editions. So when I was searching for this, again, with an alert on eBay, keep an eye out for Dark Hypno. There's lots of really poor condition ones, since it's a pretty old card. Came out in 2000. And this popped up one day after waiting effectively months looking for this Dark Hypno. And it was a first edition card priced like the unlimited card. So normally I wouldn't want to pay full price for the unlimited, the $13-ish mark. But this card is priced around $13. I paid $13.28 after tax and shipping for the first edition card. And the first edition card, of course, is worth more than the unlimited. It's worth, you know, $19 to $20. So $13 for would have been the full price point for the unlimited, and I'm happy to pay that for the first edition version of it. But I ended up getting this Dark Hypno, which is in surprisingly good condition. I'd really call it an LP, maybe near mint. No, it's an LP with a little whitening down here. But really just a solid deal for a card that I've been having trouble finding. And this is actually the second card that I've gotten for Team Rocket that was a first edition card priced as an unlimited card. I got the first edition Hollow Weezing for like $5, which is the price of the unlimited and not necessarily the first edition one. Actually, it might have been the non-hollow one as well. Regardless, crazy that it's happened twice in this set. Okay, this one is a cool one. I do this series every month where I'd say like, hey, here's some cards that you should keep an eye on, that I think you should buy or that are interesting. And this is a card that I did in one of my recent videos, this Dragonite V. And this card is really cool because it's awesome looking and it's like $5. The price might have gone up a little bit since I put it out. It was either in the April or May video that I did it. And so it's like between $5 and $10, but I got this for $5.09. And you know, it's a near mint card. The centering is not perfect, but again, I'm not grading. So getting a cool V card for cheap was awesome. And I believe the reason it's so cheap is because it's from the set Pokemon Go. And most of the cards from the Pokemon Go set are really not great because it has a big Pokemon Go logo in the middle of it. But this one does not. There's a few cards in the set that don't do that. And I'd recommend taking a look at those because you can get some cool cards from the Pokemon Go set that would be much more expensive than other sets. The other thing I want to point out from this, the seller threw in some goodies. I don't think they were predominantly a Pokemon card seller, it was just a collectible seller, which sometimes you can get some good stuff from them for good prices. I paid $5 for this $8-ish Dragonite card, was the price at the time, and they threw in 4 Plasma Era cards, which was actually kind of crazy to see. 3 of these cards I did not have, and the total value of these is more than $5. So I paid $5 for an $8 card plus more than $5 worth of extras. Now, the BTM is the rare and just some uncommons, but like the Hypnotoxic Laser is worth more. It's nothing crazy, just like a couple bucks, because it was super playable at the time. So a lot of copies of it are just not in the greatest condition. And these are like all LP cards that he just threw in for free, which I love sellers like that. I like to do that whenever I sell stuff on eBay as well. So there's an immediate positive review for them and an awesome little haul from my collection. Okay, we're back to card show with this next little pocket here. These were the last 2 cards I picked up from the card show where I got that huge stack of modern cards right here. And I bought these 2 from the same seller. The first one is a vintage card, which I'll throw right here. This Magneton, which was priced at $20. It's a thick sleeve here. They had it marked HP. And it absolutely is. I'm just going to double check the price here. So normally this card is a $40-ish card. And I've been looking for it for a while. I love all the like Neo Generation hollows, so I keep an eye out for them. Saw this one at $20, and I wouldn't buy a $40 card, a vintage card that's HP for $20 normally, but it's a pretty good HP. There's some stuff on the back here where like another card was stuck to it, but because it's raised, I think it's the other card that's stuck, so it should be cleanable. Just a little bit of whitening at the bottom. It's a proper HP. There's a crease in it right here, but it's absolutely the type of crease that you can get out, and then just a little cleaning here. So obviously there's some scratching here, which makes it a little tougher to justify this often. But because I'm very confident I'm going to be able to get this crease out, and I have a video coming out very soon. I've been teasing it for a little while where I'm going to show that off. I figured, hey, that's not so bad. I think I can probably make a deal for this card for less than $20. I bundled it with another card they had. So I love these X and Y era cards. You can tell it's from the same seller because they got the crazy thick penny sleeve. This Mega Steelix EX. Again, a card that I did not have from Steam Siege, which is a set that a lot of people maligned at the time. This card is in really good condition for the most part. It just has a little bit of whitening up here, but the front is what I care about most. It has the telltale texture from the XY era. I don't know if you can see it on camera. Yeah, you can see it pretty well. Steelix is kind of cool. And I have like my XY era collections are very strong. So picking up any card that I need for them is awesome because there's only handfuls of them at this point, like 5 to 10 from each set at most. And a couple sets where it's only a couple. Just grabbing this card was awesome. Yeah, this marked at $22. The Magneton at $20. So that would have been $42, which is not a bad deal for these cards. I offered them, again, it was either 30 or 35, which is why I was confused with the first stack. One I did 30, one I did 35. So one of those 2 numbers for this pair of cards here, which I felt was totally fair. So $40 Magneton down to, like $17-ish with a crease that I should be able to get out and clean up for the most part. I think it'll look good in the binder. For vintage cards, these Mega Steelix looks really good in the binder. For a totally fair price. Very happy about that. Another case of if you bundle stuff together, especially when you have vintage and then like mid-era, which some people call vintage now, but you can kind of make deals for things like that. It's really with the modern stuff that's harder to budge on price because it's so new. Vendors are buying it for the inflated prices, so they have to sell it for inflated prices. But with vintage, it's buying old collections, it's cards that I've had for quite a while, which means there's more flexibility there. Yeah, this next one is a huge one for me. I said I've been collecting Team Rocket, and there was one big card that I had left to get. I had already got the Dark Charizard. In the last video, you saw that I got the Dark Blastoise, which is the second biggest card. The third biggest card is the Dark Dragonite. Now, these cards are quite expensive. You know, the Charizard is like $400+. It looks like it's $480 near mint right now. The Dark Blastoise is like $260. Dark Dragonite over $200. And I really don't want to spend more than $200 on a card like this. I'd rather buy 10 cool $20 cards. But I'm so close to finishing the set. I've been keeping an eye out for cards for quite a while. This one popped up on eBay. I've been trying in card shows, but the chases of sets are often the hardest to buy from card shows. Yeah, so like getting a Dark Arbok or something is much easier than getting a Dark Dragonite. So people will have 10 Dark Arboks and they'll have one Dark Dragonite that they priced at $300 because they know people want it because it's an iconic card. Now it says $125 here. That's not what I paid for it. I'm not. That's just something they had on the sleeve. This card is not in perfect condition. I was specifically searching for a lesser condition version of the card because I didn't want to spend $200 to $250 on it. Not because it's not an awesome card, it is. Really what I'm looking for, does it have a front that I can either clean up or make look good? I paid right around $100 for this. So technically less than half of the current near mint price. This is by no means near mint. It's MP to HP, I'd say. Part of what would degrade it is the like mold / dirt that's stuck to it. I'd say like 95% of the time you can clean that off with a Q-tip. So I like to roll the dice on that typically because it almost always comes off. And there's a little bit of bumping and whitening down here in the corner, predominantly on the back. So you can see a little bit on the front, but with some flattening, again, you can turn a card that you paid $100 for into easily like worth the 150 to 200 tier again, back into an MP LP tier. So if you just put a little care into cards, you can restore stuff. And again, I'm not selling these, so they're just for my personal collections. I'm not like altering anything. It's just simple things like flattening stuff and removing pieces, which I'm quite excited about. This one is going to take very little effort to make look nice. Just a little flattening down here and a little flattening at the top. And I've got a card for less than half the price of its value. And it's just, you know, Dark Dragonite is sweet. So you're probably seeing a trend here. I got multiple Team Rocket cards and I'm effectively down to just a couple left. As of right now, after entering the haul of cards that I've gotten, I'm going to show you one more, I believe. I have only 2 more left. The third one that I had just clicked off was kind of a funny one. It was the second trainer card. And like I said, these cards are really annoying to buy online. I've been looking all over for it, and on eBay, they're like ridiculously priced. I've been seeing so many from the 5 to 10 mark, and it's like a $1 card. I don't want to buy Digger for $5 to $10 just to complete a set. Feels like such a waste. And people never bring these types of cards to card shows. You see a lot of like base Fossil Jungle. They might bring some of the trainers, but the cheap trainers from like Team Rocket base set to the Neo sets, gym sets, unless they're the holos, they're typically not bringing them. I was just casually chatting with one of the vendors. They're like, "Oh, do you have any Team Rocket cards?" They pointed some out, and I was like, I'm down to like 5 cards, but nobody brings their like weird cards. And he's like, "I got you." Pulls out a case of basically vintage cheap cards, and there was like 5 Team Rocket cards in there. There was like a Zubat and a couple other things, and then the 5th card, the only trainer he had was this Digger card, the last trainer I needed. So it was so crazy. I ended up just giving him $2 for it. That's more than fair, and a toonie on me since I'm Canadian, and went on my way. So it was like kind of crazy that he had the one card I needed, and I hadn't seen it for months. Super jazzed about that one. Okay, that card was from another card show I had went to just slightly more recent, like 2 weeks or so ago. At that same card show, I picked up this Raticate. It's a card that I had identified from Perfect Order, liking a lot. It's like the mirror to the Gumshoes, or is it? Yeah, from the Youngest of Gumshoes card. I'll have to double check that. I'll throw it up on here. From one of the previous sets. Raticate and Rattata, OG Pokemon. This is a cool card. I saw you had it for $6, which was like right on market. I said I'll give you $5 cash. Normally I'm looking for like bundling stuff together, but I just wanted this card specifically. I'd worked with this vendor before. I'm fine to give him $5 cash for a card that's effectively worth $5.50 or whatever. And it's another card ticked off my perfect order collection. Okay, next up we have an interesting little 4 set of cards. And this first one on the top is probably the most important. It is this Pokemon Go Charizard. We were just talking about the Pokemon Go cards and how they have this ugly logo here. And this really holds true with that. The logo really detracts from the card. Otherwise, it's a decent looking Charizard. Obviously, it's a 3D render of it, but I kind of like the vertical hollow design and the cityscape there. Normally, this card is only worth like $4, but all the vendors put it at like $10 just because it's a Charizard. They think people will buy it at that price just so they can have it. So I see a ton of these, but never end up grabbing them because they're overpriced. This is the first one that was like on market value that I've seen in quite a while. I was like, okay, I'm interested. It's near mint condition. There's nothing wrong with it. And it was until bundling with a couple other cards that made it truly worth it. And just 3 kind of cheapy cards. This Kyurem VMAX. Really all I was doing after I found this Charizard, I was like, oh, can I grab a couple more cards to make this worthwhile and propose a deal? So this was marked at $3. I have no specific love for Kyurem. It's kind of an interesting card because it's so rainbowy. And again, the VMAX and V cards are a little underpriced in my opinion, so getting one like this is pretty good. I know the pull rate isn't like super high on this, so for $3, totally reasonable. There's also a Giratina V, which was kind of interesting. I do like Giratina. This is just a basic V card. Kind of a cool looking one. Don't mind it at all. And again, $3. And then the final one was this Infernape V. And I got this for one reason and one reason only. He's really ugly. Look at his face here. And I keep an eye out for ugly cards because I'm doing this little challenge, which I'll have hopefully my first video up soon, where I'm basically collecting really ugly cards for a singular purpose. And I will be able to share that shortly, hopefully. But this was a perfect fit for that challenge that I'm doing. And normally I don't buy promo cards like this. Again, it was such a perfect fit, I couldn't ignore it. Now, if you take these 4 cards all together, it's $12. So that's perfect. That's like the sweet spot, the $12 to $13, sometimes $14. You offer them $10 cash, and like 95% of the time they'll take it. So at $10 for this $12 worth of cards, it puts it like right on or just below market price for all of these, which is perfect. Exactly what I'm looking for. Got 4 cards that I was interested in and wanted. Okay, next up is again a reference to these what you should buy monthly videos that I've been doing, and it is Houndoom. So a while ago, I think it was February, I recommended the Mega Houndoom EX and the full art version of this Mega Houndoom because the XY era card was like was poised to pop off, and I was correct. A lot of them really did. This card is like, I think a $25-ish card, and I saw it marked at 18, so I was interested. It said MP, and it's in pretty good condition. Let's pop it out. Really, again, I care most about the front, and with cards like these, any dings or anything show up really easily because it's just like a flat, like kind of hollow. There's no texture to this rarity of cards in the XY era. The back is a little bit worse, so I can see why they marked it MP. There's like a, I want to say maybe like an indent that you can't see at all on the front, which is interesting. You can see a little bit there. Right there, there's a crease. I actually did not notice that the first time around, so it's a little unfortunate. Can't see it straight on at all. So this is a good case of, in real time, knowing when you got a little bit screwed. Now, a crease like this, again, is something I can fix. But I would say I probably overpaid a little bit. This, when it has a crease, I don't typically consider it MP. I'd call it HP or damaged. So it's a little unfortunate. So, just be careful with stuff like that. Sometimes when you're moving quickly, you can get burned by things like this. I've been trying to not walk around for 3 hours just because it hurts the back and neck after a while. So I'm trying to wheel and deal quickly. And you can get burned like this. Now, for a card like the Dark Dragonite or whatever, I spend way more time looking at it. For a card under $20, I spend a medium amount of time looking at it. Clearly, I didn't do enough on this card. Part of that is because I saw this card in there, which is, again, from, I think, my April What to Buy video. This Team Rocket's Houndoom. Now, $22 as marked there is too much for this card. It was like 16 to 17 just a couple months ago. Kind of approaching 20 here in Canada. But knowing I wanted both of these, I was like, I can probably swing a deal. Now, this card is really awesome. I love it a lot and was the main card that I was looking for from this person, and I just happened to see this other Houndoom with it. So I ended up bundling these two together, plus a little set of cards here. Where'd they go? They had this Chinese set of evolutions, 10 cards here. There's 2 Sylveons. I'll just go through them quick. You know, an Eevee, Flareon. I like the Flareon. The Jolteon's my favorite. He's quite cool looking. Leafeon, Vaporeon, Glaceon. 2 Sylveons, a Fairy type, which is nice to see, and a Psychic type. The Espeon and Umbreon. Umbreon is also quite cool. I just wanted a few bucks for these, and I thought they were kind of cute. They make like a nice little set of cards. So on a binder page, I might remove one of the Sylveons and put these 9 cards as its own binder page. I thought that was a cool little collection. So with these 2 cards, I think it was $35 or $40 for all of this. Now, I did that not realizing there's a little crease in here. Even knowing that, I don't think it's a terrible deal. It's kind of a reasonable price for them. I'll do my best to fix this. But as a binder card for a cheap Mega Houndoom, it's not too bad. Still think it looks pretty good from the front there. Now, on the more expensive Mega Houndoom card, if I see that, I'll be much more careful because it's like $80 to $90. But this was the card that I really cared about because it's awesome. Would recommend looking at some of the mid to lower priced cards from Destined Rivals. Not always just about the Mewtwo. It's Houndoom. I picked up the Ethan's Typhlosion not too long ago. I actually have it right here. These are basically my 2 favorite cards from this set. And I got them both for quite cheap. And this one has gone up like $10 since I bought it. So I guess other people agree with me. Cool cards. Cool evolution set, which I think is going to make a good binder page. So overall, still happy about that one. Now, as we move into the next set, where I think it gets a little more interesting. There was a vendor there that I've traded with and bought from many times. Cool guy. And as you go to these shows, it's good to, you know, get to know people a little bit, even just from a Pokemon perspective, because you know if they are as trustworthy, whatever. So I asked to see these 2 cards in their case. And obviously the price jumped out to me right away. This Dragonite, I believe, is like an $80 card. This Mega Venusaur is like a $60 card typically. So normally this prices stuff like pretty reasonably, just on market or below. So if they have something priced lower, it means that there's something wrong with it. So like, I'll take a look. Just getting, you know, 2 Mega Full Art cards from the XY era. You know, these are both from the Evolution set, which is one that I'm very close to completing. I have like, I think 5-ish cards left. I got the Charizard not too long ago, which I showed off. So it's just a few ones like these, which I've been keeping my eye out for. Now, this Mega Venusaur looked really good to me for something that was effectively half price. Let me just double check. Yeah, it's a $50-ish card, so it's a little more than half price, but it still looks quite good for $30. And I know, working with this vendor before, that I will definitely be able to go down from that $30 mark. So, grabbed it out. The only thing I noticed right off the bat was this little kind of ding here at the bottom. You can see that the back is a little worse off for wear, so I'd call this a proper MP, maybe even HP card, which is why it was priced that way. But again, type of collector I am, I'm looking for good fronts, if I can get good deals, because I'm putting these in a binder, and I think the front looks really good. All of the texture is like perfectly intact. Didn't see anything major wrong with it. There's a little like just dinging down here, which I think will flatten out. We'll see. Even if it doesn't, I think it looks awesome. And it's just a cool card. I like how intense this Mega Venusaur is. Venusaur's always slept on. I now have the Charizard and the Venusaur. I still need the Mega Blastoise of this rarity tier. And for a 5-band graphics card, I actually think it's pretty good. 5-band was the one that did a ton of like just the 3D renderings in this era. This is one I liked quite a bit. So I saw that for $30. I was like, cool. It's not in perfect condition, but I like it. It's Dragonite. again was another one. I think it's $70 to $80. And at $40, around half price, I was like, okay, I definitely want to take a look at that. It really stands out because it's so gold. I'm a big Dragonite fan, one of my favorites. Looking for this card for a while. I was like, I definitely want to take a look here. And it's tough because it looks so nice, except for one crease here at the top. Did it show up the tiniest little crease here at the top that jumped out to me on the front. On the back, actually looks really good. There's just maybe like some slight scraping, but there's no like real whitening or anything. You can't even see the crease from this side. So normally I like the reverse of that, where like the crease is visible only in the back, just as you'd think. I was like, dang, this card for $40 with this tiny crease is tough. Maybe I can get it out, but because of the texture of the cards, I think it's gonna be way harder than getting creases out of like a flat card like this Mega Houndoom or Vintage card, which just is like a slightly beefier cardboard to it. So I was like, maybe we can work a deal here. When I was talking to the dude, he's like, oh, I offered him $60 for the two cards together, which I think is a good deal. And he's like, oh, are you sure you want to do that? This card's like pretty beat up. And I was like 100%, like he was super upfront about it. So props to him. And for $60 for these two cards, felt like a great deal to me, even with this tiny little crease, which is hard to see. These are two awesome cards. So he was all over it. I was all over it. Perfect bundling there. So looking for cards with like little defects like that, not getting hyped and sucked up into this grading hype, which is just mostly a scam. I say mostly, but really in my heart, I believe it's fully a scam, but I'll leave that up for you to decide. But I think as a collector, doing things like this is cool. Okay, 3 cards to go, and they all have little stories. The first one is interesting. So if you've been following my channel, I opened an ETB of Chaos Rising after I did the booster box, and in that ETB, I pulled a second Frogadier card. So I pulled a lot of duplicate IRs and stuff, and I was like, dang, I really wanted, the Xerneas, or obviously the Greninja would have been the ideal pull, but I did not get that, or something like that. Instead, I pulled the Frogadier. I was like, okay, it was like it was $30-ish at the time Canadian. I put it up on Facebook Marketplace. Got a couple bites, and like on the first day, someone was like, oh, I'll trade you for it. I'll trade you this Xerneas. And the prices were so similar. Normally I ignore trade requests because it's people like trying to get 100% of your cards for 70% of theirs or some garbage like that, which is so dumb. This guy was like, I'll trade you straight up. And they were within $1 price-wise. And I think they flopped a couple times. It's been so long since I've done a trade like this that I was all over it. Met up and he had pulled 4 of these in a small amount of packs, which was funny, and no Frogadiers. He did let me pick my favorite of the ones that he had pulled, which was this one. Looked pretty good. The center is nice. They're all like near mint, fresh pack condition, same as my Frogadier. And was just felt it was kind of funny to pull an OG trade off like that. It's been since I was a kid where you didn't really care so much about value. You just traded one Pokemon for one that you liked more, that kind of thing. Sometimes getting ripped off, sometimes not. But it felt nice to have a legitimate trade for a card that I think is really awesome looking. The Xerneas from Chaos Rising, the most recent set. I would absolutely recommend this card. Let me check the current price here. Obviously, when a set first comes out, things are overpriced, and then the chase sometimes goes way up and everything else comes down. Yeah, like when I first pulled the Mega Flow at SIR, it was like at $100. Now it's $70-ish Canadian. Totally expected. Frogadier and Xerneas are down to around $22 Canadian, and when I pulled them, they were like $28. But if you do a trade 1 for 1 and they both go up or down, it's really not like a loss of value. Obviously, I could have sold it for cash and held, but that's not what I'm doing here. Super stoked for that card, and more Chaos Rising, which is a set that I'm fairly happy with my current collection and want to keep building on. Okay, two cards to go. One more Team Rocket vintage card here. This one just came in the other day, and it was another case of me kind of sniping a deal on eBay. So if you leave notifications on for like save searches is what they're called, you can kind of bide your time and find deals on cards that you're looking for. And by bide your time, I mean, I had this thing on for I think 4 months before I decided to actually pull the trigger on a Dark Vileplume. It wasn't a priority card for me. I was looking for things like the Dragonite, the Blastoise, all things that I got from eBay as well. But now that I was down to like the last 4 cards, this was one of them. I needed to grab this. And I ended up getting a pretty solid deal on this one. It felt like it was, I think this is around a $40-ish card. I'm going to pull it up here to double check. It's actually even more expensive than that. Currently, it's $56 Canadian for a near mint one. And I got mine for 25 USD. It was in USD, so I'll throw the conversion up here after taxes and shipping. I think it was just another case of being there at the right time when something came up with a buy it now price. Didn't have to auction. And this is like in surprisingly good condition. The little like tiny speckles of whitening here, it was marked as an LP card, and it is like a pretty strong LP, so that's really good. And right when I pulled it out of the packaging, so a little stuffing right here, which makes it a proper LP. The hollow effect really jumped out at me. I don't know if it's showing necessarily super well on camera. There's like a half swirl up there, but it really jumped out at me as like really strong, and that makes it a perfect binder card. Like, it looks great from the front. Can't really see too many defects, just that stuffing, but like straight on, that hollow effect really jumps out. There's just a ton of sparkling going on. It's a cool card. Vileplume is like just a mid-tier OG Pokemon, but anytime you have a dark or light Pokemon, it's cooler. This was a cool pickup for a price that I was more than happy with. So really hammering away at that Team Rocket set. And then that puts me down to 3 cards left for it. One is the Dark Golbat Hollow, which I have been surprisingly having trouble finding. I would expect it to show up more at card shows. I think I saw it early on and didn't pull the trigger, and then I haven't seen it for a little while. But again, I have a save search waiting for me to see if I can grab it. And then even more annoyingly, I have the non-hollow Dark Dragonite. And again, a case of everyone's trying to sell the hollow version, or they have the hollow version that's way more interesting. Obviously, that's the one I cared about more at first. The non-hollow version kind of looks a little ugly with the background, without the hollow effect. But more importantly is, whenever you have a hollow and a non-hollow version of a card, that muddies the pricing. So like, people end up pricing the non-hollow version weirdly. And then you also have the first edition. So it's like, I want a non-hollow, non-first edition Dark Dragonite for a reasonable price. The market value on it is $45 for a near mint one, and I really don't want to spend $45 on a non-hollow Dark Dragonite. So in an ideal world, I'm getting it for like $25. I'm absolutely willing to bide my time for something like that. I was very close to getting one, and I've had a couple slip away that ended up being like $32 that I should have just pulled the trigger on. But I think with a little more time, I'll be able to get it for the prices that I'm looking for, 25 to 30, and get one that's like just a decent LP, good for the binder. Really, I just like to highlight the hollow cards, like my Dark Charizard is really good condition, stuff like that. The third card, which I had needed, I also found on eBay, and it's kind of a sneaky one. I left this last for a reason, because I'm going to throw up the eBay thing in a sec. So I have the eBay listing here, and you can see at the top, I offered $20 on it. It was listed at $25 with just $2-ish shipping. And this card is, I think, like $30-ish to $40 card. Let's pop it up to double check. Yeah, $35. It's a card. It's an energy card, and it's a hollow rare. It's not really the types of card that you want to be spending a bunch of money on. So I had left it later in the journey just to see if I could find a deal on it. And, them accepting my $20 offer, so $22-ish before tax, felt like a super good deal to me. And obviously, I looked at the listing. It was someone with good ratings. They had marked it LP, ungraded excellent. Took a look at the pictures. Straight on, everything looks good. You can see that there's a hollow effect. It's a little blurry, which is not ideal. So I'm taking a little bit of a risk on it. You can see like this corner looks not super good, but marked LP, I'm expecting a little dinging. It was the correct number, 17 out of 82. Again, you can see the whitening on the back. So I was like, it's kind of a weak LP, but for 2/3 of the price of the near mint, it felt pretty good. And most of these are way over $30-ish. You can see one right here for $56, which is kind of crazy. They accepted my deal. Now, the pictures told one story, and right when I opened this, I was like, sneaky guy. straight on, oh, you can immediately see it. So they took pictures straight on and did their very best to hide the massive creases in it. There's 2 creases, one right here. If I can get it to show up, yeah, right there. It runs from like the top all the way down the middle, and then one that runs right here, from here all the way across. And then, you know, you can kind of see, you can see it from the back, all the whitening there. This is effectively a damaged card. So I hate when sellers do this. Obviously it fired me up a little bit. I immediately requested a refund with the exact kind of stuff I was saying there, that this thing is fully damaged, not anything like the pictures. They purposely took pictures to hide the damage. The person accepted my request, or accepted my refund immediately without me having to send the card back. So clearly they knew something was wrong with it, and they were just trying to get a buck out of it. I'm not sure what their real goal was there, or if they're just doing a lot of volume. I doubt it, because they only have 444 reviews. There's still a lot, but not like the tens of thousands of reviews that you'd expect with a volume seller. So a lot weird all around. I'm glad they refunded it. I'm hanging on to it here just in case they at some point request it back. If not, I'll try and repair it after a little while. But I think I'm probably going to look for a better version of this and not... I'll count it as partially collected for now, but I'm going to still look for a better version of this and just be annoyed that they did this. Like, totally fine if you mark all this stuff with has creases in it and price it accordingly, but to purposely hide it in the pictures, to price it the way it is, you know, I was somewhat surprised they accepted my $5 off offer so quickly without any counter offer, which is how it usually works. You know, I'd offer $20 and they counter with $22.50 or something like that. But they just accepted it immediately. I didn't really think anything of it, but in retrospect, maybe I should have. It won't deter me from kind of doing the same thing again in the future and buying stuff from eBay, because I got a refund immediately. They didn't even involve eBay. They just refunded it of their own accord. So I guess no harm, no foul. I'm not dragging their name through the mud or anything. I'll try and blur it out here on the cameras, but there we have it. Hey everyone, future me here. I decided to add up all the amounts that I paid and the approximate value of everything to get a true sense of the value I gained here. So, according to my calculations, I spent $343.26. That's a decent amount of scratch for Pokemon cards, but this was over 6 weeks to 2 months. So nothing super crazy there, especially when you compare it against sealed stuff. And the value, I did my very best to find the approximate true value of things based on their condition. So if it was LP, obviously it's a percentage less than the near mint cost. The near mint things were easy to price. It's basically market price for things. Things like the 2 Dragonites were much harder to pin down. So take this with a small grain of salt, but I think I'm pretty close based on comparables I'm finding on eBay and things like that. The total value of these cards, accounting for condition, was $535.42. So I basically got these cards for 64% of their value of what I could theoretically turn around and sell piece by piece. And I think I did that just by bundling things together, having conversations, and most importantly, just being patient with the cards that I wanted. Okay, there we go. A huge haul of Pokemon cards, some wins, a couple losses in there with little things that happened. Definitely interesting. There's hundreds of dollars worth of cards here that I definitely spent a lot less on. And I think, you know, just biding your time, trying to find deals is a great way to go about collecting, not get bought up into hype about things, you know, trading and selling your duplicates, collecting really what you love. All great ways to engage with the hobby and not, you know, buying and selling sealed products and slabs all the time. Hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe, because in my next couple of videos, I have something to do with that ugly Infernape. I have a bunch of card repair stuff coming out, more openings that I've done, just a ton of content coming your way. I really appreciate the subscribe and you watching. I'll see you next time.